Today I want to speak about the good, the bad, the ugly, but still very popular, fully open source and free to use performance and load testing tool, what you also can use for API testing, for some UI checks, for database testing, for both functional and not functional. It is Apache JMeter. So fully open source and super popular, and even so cool as the Chuck Norris, it is still valuable tool for organized performance testing on the market in IT. And the main benefits of this tool even in 2025: open source and fully free to use. What it means that you will do not see any kind of limitation how to scale, how to use it, and so on. So if you need, you can easily extend it with some Java knowledge, and I will show how it's possible. And you can add functionality, you can easily set up your own infrastructure for JMeter with Kubernetes, with Docker, with cloud container services, with virtual machines, or even with your own laptop or desktop computer. It is easy to use and start doing some JMeter test due to graphic interface programming option, so you can program your load test into the graphic interface. It supports WebSocket protocol, HTTP protocol, SOAP protocol, AQM, gRPC. You can set up performance test for your GraphQL layer. So this is very popular tool still, with huge impact on the market. And distribution mode is some kind of not a killer feature, but it's very necessary extension for JMeter test to generate huge amount of load to your application. To be honest with you, I have to share the main disadvantages of the JMeter. Definitely due to JVM behavior, it is very hungry to use your operation memory, your RAM, and it's bad side of the JMeter. It is a limitation, and yes, it is true, due to option to program in graphic user interface, we have to save our test in some kind of XML look format. It is GXML, I think, something like that. And it is some kind of form of XML what is used for JMeter test or JMeter scenario configuration, and it's very tough question when we're talking about working in parallel on the same scenario. So it's much more easier to work alone on simple single scenario than do it in parallel. Okay, so it's like main concept for this topic, and let's switch. So to start working with Apache JMeter, you have to navigate to the jmeter.apache.org website, go to the download releases, and download the zip archive or TGZ archive to your machine, and unarchive it and open the folder. If you are really cool hacker, you can definitely build it from source, but it's not a topic for our video. If you need some basic information, you can go to the get started, and it's pretty enough, and I use it in the past to start my JMeter journey. And if you need more information, you can go to user manual tab to find more deep information about options what you can use into the JMeter, and you can go to the best practice to know about some kind of cool feature, about common practice, about how to use like variables, how to run it in non-graphic user interface mode, but partially we'll cover it. and you can find information about some configurations, what you can see into the property file, or what you want to override probably into your CI, etc, etc, etc. But partially we will cover something, so no panic. We will do step by step everything. And after you download the JMeter archive, you can find the folder Apache JMeter and the version what you download, and here you can find the folders, and let's figure out what is going on. So the bin folder, it is a main folder for all executable files, and it's include Apache JMeter jar, what currently it is a main file to run JMeter. So it is a fat jar with all dependency, a lot of stuff inside, and currently it's JMeter application. Not all dependency, I will figure out it in the moment, but here you can find information. So here you can find Apache JMeter, you can find a bunch of the shell scripts and property files. We will discuss the about the property files in the moment. So let's switch to other folders. So we have a docs, it's like documentation, the same what you can find on the website. It's extras, and inside of the extras you can find guides and all necessary stuff to build your own add-ons for the JMeter. So if you are programmer, if you need some specific feature to work with your specific protocol, add some specific behavior, I don't know what, you can do it here in programmatical way and add it as a dependency as well to the JMeter and use it. We have a lib folder, and inside of this folder you can find all libraries. In scope of libraries, I mean like programming libraries, what is used into the JMeter, like XML parser, JSON pass parser, like HTTP clients, IMQP client, and so on, so on, so on, so on. And in the ext folder, you use it to add some available plugins, and in scope of this you have to download JMeter plugin to download in other plugins. So I will show it in scope of this video, and after that you can continue and easily install plugins without doing it manually, but you can still do it manually. Just put it inside of the ext folder in the lib and it will be available in your JMeter. Fine. License, it's about license, about deal, how you can use the JMeter. As I mentioned before, it's open source, so you can easily use it in production, and so on and so on and so on. And it is printable docs if you want to print how to use JMeter and put it to the shelf in the office and share it with your colleagues as well. Fine, so let's go a bit deeper inside of the bin folder, and here we can find the user properties, upgrade properties, system properties, service properties, and JMeter properties. Let's go to the user properties. User properties, it is probably the main file what you can change here, any kind of the properties about the JMeter behavior, about some classes what used inside, about SSL certificate, about graphic user interface changes, and it's very safety. Why? Because you can have multiple user properties, and user properties, it's not vital. The same can be done into the JMeter property file. So it's some kind of aggregated and main JMeter property, like JMeter configuration file. You can set up here everything, and about what library you should use for XML parsing, JSON parsing, about HTTP clients. If you want to override something, you can specify here what language of graphic interface should be loaded by default. You can change the icons, size, the font size here. The same you can do into the user property as well, but here you can find some example. But to be honest, it's always better to do this kind of changes into the user properties, and it's easy to roll back. And if you want to make some hack around your JMeter, please try to use user properties, extend JMeter properties, and leave JMeter properties more the full way, only in case when you want to change some like programming behavior, when you want to change some information about the system, information about some behavior of JMeter flow, it can be done here definitely. Also here you can find information about changing related to the distributed mode testing, but I will show in the future in other video how to manage it. The service property, it's more about how to change programming behavior into the JMeter. So here you can specify some reference or override the reference of graphic user interface element to the implementation or to the classes. And it's very tricky because you can easily to break your JMeter setup, but at the same time, if you want to use your own implementation of some element of JMeter in JMeter tests, you can do it easily here. You can override what kind of import of classes should be used when you call some element, like for example you write your own implementation into the CSV dataset processing, and you want to use it, so you go to service.properties file and override it here. But be very careful, because you can easily destroy everything by wrong settings. And the system properties, it's more about the behavior of JMeter in scope of like GKS certificate, SSL certificate, network delayed, proxy, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. So yep, currently it is the main description of the property file into the JMeter, and let's see how we can run it. So first of all, you have to install the Java into your operation system. So when I type Java minus version, I will see that I have 17. It is GDK built on based on the OpenJDK, and it is a AWS Carreta implementation of OpenJDK specification. So nice, I have JDK 70. You can use more fresh, like 22, 25, I don't know. And to run JMeter, we have an option execute command like java minus jar, and specify Apache JMeter jar. You can run it absolutely fine. It will work in Windows, in Linux, in macOS, but it's much more easy to run it with shell or bat script. For Windows user, you have to run JMeter bat. In graphic user interface, you able to double click on it, and Windows will run the JMeter. It will open CMD, and inside of the CMD will be executed this bat file, and the result will be JMeter graphic user interface is run. In my case, I will use command source, or you can use sh, or you can even specify the file itself. We call it jmeter.sh, and it will run the JMeter. This is JMeter. I can make it a bit bigger for video. And let's figure out what we can do here, what we have. So I can move it bigger, extend it, fine. So what we see, there we have the options. We already have a plugin manager inside in the latest bit, so I can open it. It will open one more window, and here the list of the plugins. So now you shouldn't care about installation of plugin manager. It's already installed, and here you have installed plugins. So it's already installed into your JMeter. Currently it's fully related to Leap Extra, and here it is plugin what installed. Fine. You can apply changes and restart JMeter. It's not our choice for now. We have available plugin, so here you can find the AWS support, Apache JMeter schema assertions, etc, etc, etc. Plugins from JMeter. JMeter, it is some kind of SaaS platform to run and scale your JMeter test independently. We have other community plugins for working with database, with Kafka, with RabbitMQ, with cloud, with different clouds, with IBM product. So it's really rich list of the different plugins to work with different kind of protocols and tools into the modern IT world. And we have some upgrades. Fine. So now you know how to install something. You can search it, you can install it. It can be done automatically. You can do it manually, just putting the file into the libext folder. Fine. And let's create a simple scenario. So I have to add thread and thread group. So thread group, it is the main entry point of our JMeter. Here you can find number of threads. Currently it's number of Java threads, and each thread it's some kind of abstraction of virtual user. So when you will add here some simpler, for example, let's use debug simple, and this debug simple, and you will add, for example, add listener, and it will be aggregated report, and I will specify here 10, press save. I have to specify where I want to save, so I want to save it inside of my JMeter area, and it will be like .01 video, and save it and run it. I run it and I see that 10 samples was executed. It's debug simple, and I can change the behavior. For example, I specify 10 and my laptop easily create a 10 thread in the moment, and it executed very fast. But I can specify ramp up period, so it's a delay between each thread will be started, and I can specify, for example, 5 seconds. Yeah, I can clean results. I want to open the aggregated report and run it. Here you can find the delay and amount of samples. So when you specify the number of thread 10, it means that each simpler and simpler it is some action into your JMeter will be executed in the line. For example, debug simple. I can add like HTTP request simple. Let's put aggregated report on top. Yep. I can add some, I don't know, GDBC request. I can add GraphQL request, and so on. it's empty for now, and I can run it, and you see that in parallel, one by one, they executed. You can more tricky setup it with some kind of configuration element. Here we will, in the future, we will, you can set up a timer, like throughput shaping timer, and in scope of that you can easily control how you will manage the RPS. And in this case, when you edit the thread group, it is entry point, and here you can specify the setting, but this setting will be applied, but in reality it will use this shaping timer to know what kind of the load profile should be generated. And under the load profile, it's mean the settings of how you will extend load to your system. But it's like a lot of information for today, and let's finish it. So now from this video you know what is Apache JMeter is, how it's can be installed, how to run JMeter, what is the structure of the file, how you can override something, and how you can add some simplers and so on. In next video we will see how to set up very simple scenario, how to manage load profile, and how to connect it to the InfluxDB and see the Grafana dashboard to analyze of those tests. But before we finish, the small hint from my side, let's go to the user property, let's override something, and I want to override the part related to the graphic user interface. So what I want to do, I will edit. So I will type JMeter HIDPI, and I have to set HIDPI mode true. I have to type scale factory for 2 to increase scale. I want to override the JMeter toolbar icons size, for example 32x32. I want to override JMeter tree. So under the JMeter tree, it's mean this side, these elements. Yep. And I have to do the next J syntax area font size to 28, and I have to specify like J syntax area font family, for example to mono. I want to specify another one, for example heck. Nice. So it is UI changes. You can easily find it into the your JMeter property file. Let's open it, JMeter properties, and if I will type like icons, you can find this information. Even you can override, you can set up your own icon, and so on and so on and so on. You can do it very easily. You can type here font and so on, so you can override your JMeter behavior very smoothly here. But as I recommend before, it's much more easily to use user property for it. Nice, I did it. So what I want to achieve, I want to stop JMeter and I want to run it again. And let's see how it will look. So you can see that icons bigger and so on. Let's try to specify another font. Run JMeter again. Go and see how it's look. Let's open our simpler. So you can see the font was changed a bit, the size of icon is changed, and so on. So it's fully configurable, very flexible, with some not maybe fancy user interface in 2025, but very powerful multi-tool to organize your performance tests on even modern market. Thank you for your attention and see you in the future. Bye.